I'd love to have been a person who could sit back with his headphones on, listen to that the whole way through for the first time. I mean, I never had that experience, but would have been nice.
The thing that's often missed is the fact that...
Finally, a musician admits what I've been saying for years. Is the mic on? And nobody believes me.
Driven by emotion.
There we go. Here we go. Episode 57. What's wrong with Orny Adams? That's David Gilmour from Pink Floyd documentary, The Making of the Dark Side of the Moon. I'll get into why I played that in a minute. But first, I'm holding up, I got a box of these frozen chicken empanadas at Trader Joe's. Chimichurri empanadas, which, you know, near and dear to my heart. I discovered chimichurri when I was dating a woman from Argentina, and she introduced me to that and mate. Oh, I should tell the mate story later. But first, look, this is what I love about the internet. I'm about to make a joke about this box. I'm holding it up. Chimichurris. Tell me what I'm missing here, audience, because you love to tell me. So tell me, what am I missing? On the back, it says nutritional facts. There are two empanadas in the box. If you eat one empanada, so it says per serving, 250 calories. Per container, which would be 2 empanadas, is 490. What am I missing? Shouldn't it be what, 500? Isn't if you have one and it's 250 and you have two. Sorry, I'm looking for the music to get into this show. Let's back this up a little. If you have one and it's 250 calories and you have two, that would be 500 calories. But according to Trader Joe's, if you eat two, somehow you lose 10 calories. Is it because the eating causes you to lose 10 calories? Is eating an empanada burn 5 calories? Hey, Trader Joe's, stick to cooking the empanadas. You suck at math. What am I missing? Somebody will tell me. Email me. What's wrong at OrnyAdams.com. Orny. We're into it. We're deep into episode 57 already. We got Orny. Oh, good Lord, I'm going to do it again. I read an article in the New Yorker, and I'm actually, oh boy, I'm going to try and read parts of it. It's about the art world. I love the speculative market of the art world. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about more expiration dates. Where's that box? I bet, hold on, before I throw that away, the empanadas, I want to see what the expiration date is. Good luck trying to find this. Where is it? We talk about expiration dates. We're going to talk about the art world. We're going to talk about somebody on Facebook attacking me, which I love. Well, we should talk about my rugby videos. Oh, there's so much to talk about, but let's find this expiration date. I'm seriously looking for it for the first time, and I can't. All right, I'm going to start panel by panel. It's not there. It's not on the front. It's not on the top. It's usually in the bottom, right? Okay. There it is. No, it isn't. Oh, there it is. Best Buy 6/6/2023. Boy, I jumped the gun on this one. I had till 2023. It's really hard to find expiration dates. I'm going to talk about that at the end. But why did I play that clip? This is one of the stories that I love to tell. And it's a fascinating story. And some people get it immediately, what I'm trying to say. And other people just look at me like, huh? So that clip I played was from a documentary called Making of the Dark Side of the Moon. And they examine, because when I was a kid, what was that? That was on the charts for years. Years, that album charted. Can you imagine that? In this day and age, you can't, our attention spans, nothing could last on a chart for a year. We're on to the next thing way too fast. But in those days, there wasn't that much. I mean, there's stuff equally as good as Dark Side of the Moon that should be charting longer, but it does, like, that's what I hate about the modern creating world. You put something out there and within an hour it's old and people want the next thing. They want more. They just want to drain your creative blood. They just want to suck it out of your body and spit it onto the pavement all around you. Nobody's satisfied ever. But in the 70s, when The Dark Side of the Moon came out by Pink Floyd, it was on the charts forever. And I was always fascinated because when I would listen to this album, it was clearly engineered in the studio. There were a lot of sound effects. There were like clocks ringing. There were people talking over it. There was weird instruments, weird noises, all created and engineered. And they sort of explain how they do this. And it's fascinating. It was truly a great expression of music. But I always wondered when I would see Pink Floyd is coming to the Worcester Centrum, Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm like, well, how is Pink Floyd? How do they do this live? Now, I was young, so I didn't realize that there could be somebody backstage with a sound, board hitting, sound buttons like I do. I didn't know that. Now I do. So I was watching the documentary, which I thought was informative. I was actually more excited about what mics was Pink Floyd using. This is the way my mind works. I'm just trying to watch this documentary. Now I have to pause it and Google what mics did Pink Floyd use to record Dark Side of the Moon, because I didn't recognize them. I did a lot of research when I ended up buying my mics for this podcast. And there were these Newman mics. And I can't believe they're thousands of dollars. Now I really want to try a Newman mic. I want to see what the difference is. They use 3 different ones. And then I Googled which one would be right for my voice. Anyway, let's get to the story. Several years ago, I was in Beverly Hills. That's right. I was taking a meeting. Very Hollywood of me. This is back in the day when there actually were meetings. There was a time when agents and managers and networks, when they wanted to court you, they would take you out to lunch. Now, that doesn't happen anymore. Now, you go do it yourself. You create a podcast that's a hit. You create a comedy special that's a hit that has millions of views on YouTube. Now we'll talk. And maybe there's not even a meeting anymore. We used to have meetings, lunch meetings. This is in the heyday of Hollywood. Boy, I caught the tail end of that. So I'm out to lunch at this Mexican restaurant on Beverly Boulevard, I believe. And we're sitting outside, and all of a sudden coming at us is the biggest paparazzi scrum I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it. And if you know my history, I did something for, I think it was Entertainment Tonight, where I followed the paparazzi as a piece. Entertainment Tonight is a magazine TV show, like a tabloid type show, salacious articles, and just easy viewing, celebrity stuff. And so, and by the way, that's my neighbors. I don't know what they're doing, but you can hear that. It sounds like they're drilling for oil. Listen to that. That's what's great about this podcast, is you just don't know what you're going to get. I'm in a big yellow, a 1963 vintage Shasta trailer, and I'm in my backyard, and I have new neighbors, and they're renovating. I've had 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th house around me that I've had to survive listening to renovations. What economy? What? We're in a recession? Wouldn't know that, would you? All the spending. Would you know we were in a recession right now if you didn't watch the news and they told you every day we're in a recession? You would just say, wow, gas prices, inflation? Why? Or if we're in a recession, rather. I think we might be. But with inflation, you would know. You would just go, wow, things are starting to cost more money. I guess they just went up in price. That's normal. Gas went up. You wouldn't know things were so bad unless they told us it's so bad. Let me get back to the story. This is what's wrong with this podcast. My mind goes in 50 different places, and I should just tell this. It's a 30-second story, but I think I'm so afraid of telling this story and getting it wrong that I interrupt myself. I derail myself to pad the eventuality of me screwing it up. So we're sitting there in a meeting with a manager that's courting me. And this might be our second lunch, and the biggest paparazzi scrum. They're coming out. And believe me, I was there when they were following Britney Spears. I know what it's like when there's 30 cars surrounding, Britney and her car. It's scary. They're very, very aggressive. Well, these paparazzis, they were jumping over cars, sliding over hoods. This is my recollection. And running down the street and chasing this person. And as the person came into focus, I realized it was Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney of the Beatles. I'm looking at a Beatles. I'm looking at a guy that changed the landscape of our lives. And I saw a sadness. I saw a sadness in his face. And I'll get to that in a second. But as he passed us, the guy I was having lunch with, there was a cop in front of Paul McCartney and a cop behind Paul McCartney. And as the cops, this is before we defunded all the police here in Los Angeles, so there were actually police to do this. As don't want to get political. As the cop, the final cop, Paul McCartney, walks past our table, and to be funny, the guy I'm with that wants to sign me, the manager, now he should let me be funnier. He topped me. He was funnier than me. He looked at the cop as McCartney passed. He looked at the cop and he said, who is that? And a few steps later, McCartney turned around and he goes, it's Ringo. It's Ringo. How funny is that? What a moment. What a moment. I met, no, I didn't meet, but I was inches away from Paul McCartney. I met Muhammad Ali. I met Barack Obama. I mean, I've done some big stuff. What's buzzing in here now? I hear buzzing in my studio. But when I saw McCartney, I saw a sadness. This is why I tell this story. And some people relate to this and get it instantly, and other people look at me like I'm an idiot. But I've always said, I saw a guy that was never able to enjoy the Beatles. Think about it. Think about all the school dances you went to. Think about all the times Hey Jude came on. Think about the White Album. Think about how we still listen to the Beatles. It still sounds fresh. Think about all the memories attached to a song. Think about all the times maybe you made love to the song. Maybe you danced to one of their songs at your wedding. Maybe it's a song that reminds you of something that happened in your childhood or your family. Think of all the sense memory, all the beautifulness attached to that song. The Beatles don't have that. That's what I saw when I looked into Paul McCartney's face. I said there was something missing. Oh, that's right. He didn't get to experience the Beatles the way we did. Just like David Gilmour said. That's not what I'm trying to play. I want to get back to the Gilmour clip. Stop this now.
I'd love to have been a person who could sit back with his headphones on, listen to that the whole way through for the first time. I mean, I never had that experience. But would have been nice.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Often missed is the fact that
That's a musician admits what I've been saying for years. That's my evidence now. When
believes me.
That's right. Now you have to believe. Now I'm talking over me. Now you have to believe me because I have that as empirical evidence that these musicians feel that way. David Gilmour never could put on the headsets and just listen to it. And what he's really saying is getting stoned and listening to it. Remember, people used to get stoned, put it on, and then they would put on The Wizard of Oz, and they believe it's synced up some way. I mean, that's how nutty people are. That's how crazy we are. But that's what I saw in McCartney's eyes. Like when McCartney thinks of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band, when he thinks of Sgt. Pepper, all he can think about is John Lennon was being a dick that day. Ringo came in hungover, whatever it is. I was in a fight with whoever he's dating at the time. They don't get to experience it the way we get to experience it. And that's a tragedy. That really is. July 4th, I was very social July 4th. I'm proud to say I went to three outings, 3 parties, despite me, my not FOMO, fear of being included, my phobia. I don't want to go to your party. I've said this before, but I went. I went to my college girlfriend I got a call from a buddy, and he's like, listen, so-and-so, I don't want to say her name, wanted me to invite you to her party July 3rd. I'm like, what? That's weird. All right. Well, I'd like to reconnect with everybody. You know, it wasn't some horrible breakup. So I started texting with her, and I went, and it was nice to connect. All my friends from college, there was about six people from college. By the way, a lot of us never married, no kids, which is strange. They must have had something in the water there at Emory University. And my friends are very successful and not unattractive. I mean, I'm holding up the best. Yeah, but that's part of my job. And so it was nice to reconnect because, in all honesty, The last time I felt like I was part of this world was when I was in college at Emory University. I had such a great group of friends. We were all on the same time schedule. We all vacationed at the same time. We all were taking tests at the same time, studying at the same time, partying at the same time. And we had fun. I let loose. I really found my groove. That's when I started doing stand-up comedy. And one of the guys that was there, he came to see my show the night before at the Improv. He saw me do stand-up, my friend Mark, for the... Mark. Jeez, I keep calling him Mark. I get confused. Brett. I don't know if it's COVID brain, or I don't know if I've just lost my mind, but something's not right. I'm not processing the way I used to. Brett saw me the first time I did stand-up comedy on stage, which was in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Funny Bone in Buckhead. And I hosted a week there, and it closed at the end of that week. They said on Sunday night, could you get up there and announce that the club's closing? I mean, that should have been my cue. Get out of the business. You're closing clubs as an MC. It's done. Get out, Adams. Get out, Adams. I don't know what's going on with my brain. I used to wake up just full of energy. I used to wake up, I was so excited for the day. In fact, when I was a kid, I got up before everybody else, so I got a paper route, so I could make some money and have a purpose and an activity before the rest of the house woke up. Now I wake up, but it takes like the fuzziness. I'm like, do I need to go back to bed? Where am I? What time? It's just strange. I think that's what I miss most being a kid, is waking up just excited for life. And believe me, I had no life back then. What was my life? Paperboy and go to school? And I can't even remember, did I like school or not like school? Because I love learning. Like I watch a documentary on Dark Side of the Moon, and I'm obsessed with what kind of mics are they using. And then I read this article in the New Yorker, and I'm obsessed with draconian laws. And I'll get into that in a second. And then I start researching that. And then that leads into Plato and Socrates. And how was Socrates killed? And why was he killed? And I studied this stuff in college, but I love informing myself. Do you love informing yourself? Or are you on TikTok all day? Are you on social media all day just taking the garbage that common people are feeding you, like me, my videos? Are you watching too many of them? By the way, and this took a lot of convincing, my last special, which was on Showtime, More Than Loud, is now on YouTube. And I'm not promoting it because I have mixed emotions. Mixed emotions. This piece, this special, is near and dear to me. Something I poured everything into, proud of. I only have done 3 specials in my storied career, if I'm a journalist writing about me. And I didn't want to just give it away, but that seems to be the trend. And I'm trying to figure it out. It's hard figuring it out, as you get, further away from your youth. It's a nice way of saying getting older. As you get further away from your youth, you're not as connected to the trends and what works. And, giving it away for free on YouTube seems normal. Whereas when I started out, you wanted to be on a network like HBO, and you wanted to be paid up front. And that's how you got the eyeballs. But it's so changed, and it's really hard. And what I hate is, no matter what I do, and that's why I did that thing at the beginning with the empanadas, no matter what I do, I'm always criticized. It's never enough. Oh, people that don't have podcasts give me podcasting advice. People that don't do stand-up give me stand-up advice. I've got a team behind me always correcting me when I'm wrong or what they think is wrong. So I put up, and this isn't to bash my manager. He used to be my agent. Now he's my manager. But I put up, begrudgingly, I did it. I put up More Than Loud. And I refuse to even post about it on social media. I'm telling you guys, because you guys are my friends. Oh, shit! I'm supposed to start the podcast by saying another thing somebody told me to do. Oh, hey, please subscribe, like, share, write a review if you like it. If you've connected with this podcast, write a review, share it with people. I was supposed to start out by saying that. That's what other people do. Before they get into it, like, hey, before I start, don't forget to subscribe and like and share and tell everybody about this. Write a review. I can't get my... I just want to get into the thing. I've got a million thoughts. I've got all this stuff written down that I want to get to. And then I just my head doesn't work like everybody else's. And then I thought, you know what I should do is I should record the podcast and then do an intro after, because some people do that. And then I thought, you know what? I like my podcast opening with a clip. And then I have to explain the clip. And then what? Now we're 20 minutes in, and now I'm getting to subscribe and like and share. Oh, I just dumped, also on YouTube, I dumped 7 episodes in a row. Some backlog of what's wrong with Orny Adams up until episode 45. Of course, then I call my friend who is he's a guy who sells ads or gets deals for people that have podcasts. He's got a company, and he goes, I wouldn't have done that. 7 at one time, that's going to screw up the algorithm. I'm so sick of the algorithm. Fuck the algorithm. I'm not here creating art for the algorithm. Whether this is art or not, I'm not expressing myself trying to play to an algorithm. If I did, this podcast would sound like a lot of other people's podcasts. I know the formula. I know the formula for stand-up comedy. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm doing what comes out of me without any forethought. Well, forethought in a sense that, I plan the podcast, but I don't plan hey, you listen to the comics talk, they go, hey, listen, when you do a TikTok, at 3 seconds, you got to get to the hook within 3 seconds. And then at 5 seconds, you have to get the first punchline. I'm like, are you guys doing comedy? Or what are you guys doing? Playing the robots? That's what you're doing. You're letting the robots win with this algorithm. Playing to the algorithm. I hate the algorithm. And it comes up again. I put up my special. I'm so proud to share it with my manager because it was his idea and we're doing it for a specific reason, which, will come out in the next couple of weeks. And I sent him the link and he said, oh, I would have started it after the applause. Just start the special. This is an hour and 30-minute special. Just start it. Start it when you say the first line. Forget the walking out, the music, all that stuff that, we scripted. There was a beginning and it was kind of supposed to feel like a rock concert. Don't get rid of that. So now I have to go edit that, which you can now do. You can now edit a video, or maybe you've been able to for some time, on YouTube that's already been uploaded. So I take out 1 minute and 10 seconds of me walking out to applause. And my agent said, if you don't get them in the first minute, the algorithm. I'm like, oh, God, the algorithm. Piece of shit algorithm. The algorithm doesn't like me. I was reading about TikTok. They actually were caught at one time. The algorithm promoted good-looking people in dance videos and not anything political. I mean, the algorithm's racist. It was there were accusations that it eliminated the hashtag Black Lives Matter. You're being manipulated, everybody. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but go out and seek it. And trust me. Trust me. If you watch my comedy, you'll like it. You'll like it. It's what I'm really good at. In fact, after I do shows, people come up to me, do you have a podcast? And I say yes, but I feel mixed about it because it doesn't represent what I do on stage. And what I do on stage is what I do. I feel my best. Okay? So More Than Loud is up on YouTube. You can watch it. You can share it if you want to support me. It's also on Amazon. You can pay $4.99 if you want to be a patron of the arts. I'm always looking for patrons of the arts. Which brings me to this article in the New Yorker. Remember these? I'm holding up, I've got the New Yorker. These subscription no postage necessary, and you mail this back. It's inserted into the magazine. And people used to do jokes about how the magazine travels hundreds of miles in the mail or thousands of miles in the mail, and these postcards stay in, but the minute you open it up, they fall out. They used to do jokes like that. This is from the July 4th issue of The New Yorker. I've been a subscriber since I left home. My dad pays for my subscription every year, and we read articles and we discuss them. And I'm going to need my glasses. This is a book review of Hugh Eakin's new book, Picasso's War, How Modern Art Came to America. And it isn't really about Picasso or about the war or about art. Its subject is the creation of a market for a certain product, modern art. I'm reading. This is written by Louis Menand. Louis Menand, come on down. One mostly good thing about the digital revolution, which is otherwise sucking us all into a plutocratic dystopia. Wow, that's what I should name this podcast. Plutocratic dystopia. Do you know what that is? You know what that means? That means that rich people are in turmoil. This is destroying rich good. Plutocracy is sucking us all into a plutocratic dystopia. Is that the internet has reduced the barriers to cultural production enormously. Many types of cultural goods are now much easier to make and much cheaper to distribute. You don't need an investor to capitalize your production costs or a distributor to get your stuff before the public. You just need a laptop and a camera, and maybe, here's a little jab, and maybe a little inspiration. And no matter how small you are, you always open worldwide. And that is something that I find fascinating and depressing at the same time. Because yes, right now, I'm fascinated that I can put this up on the web and people all over the world can listen to it and watch it when I put it up on Patreon or YouTube. What depresses me is more people don't. So yes, we all have access, but the problem is now there's too many people that have access. And the playing field, instead of 9 people on the field, is that what it is for baseball? There's thousands out there trying to catch the ball, catch the fly ball. And where am I? Nowhere near the ball to be caught. Not to be bitter. But the internet makes your work accessible to anyone who wants to see it or read it or listen to it or buy a copy of it, because barriers to cultural consumption are also much lower. Goods are far easier to access and to acquire. That means we're cutting out the plutocratic, the plutocrats. And that's why they're in dystopia. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that absolutely wonderful? That's what my neighbor Ken always says. Isn't that wonderful? He's from Oklahoma. So now, the focus of the book isn't on big-name artists like Picasso or Matisse, who are offstage for most of it. It figures on most people. It's on figures most people have never heard of: dealers, gallery owners, collectors, curators, and critics. The components of what sociologists call the art world. If the art world wants to make somebody rich and famous, they can do it. Watch the Warhol documentary. Watch it. They're kingmakers, and there are kingmakers in stand-up comedy too. And I haven't heard this. Hello? It's the comedy kingmakers. Oh, kingmakers, come in. Come in. I've been waiting to be made a king. The general American public in the period when modern art emerged around the time of the First World War had no interest in it at all. Wealthy Americans, the sort of people who could afford to buy art for their homes, had no interest or taste for it. Even the art establishment was hostile. This is like in 1913. In 1913, a Matisse show at the Art Institute of Chicago instigated a near riot. Copies of 3 Matisse paintings were burned, and there was a mock trial in which Matisse was found guilty and convicted of, among other things, artistic murder. The demonstrators were art students. These people take their art seriously. very seriously. But what intrigued me about this article was there was a patron of the saints. A patron of the saint. Patron of the arts. Believe me, a lot of artists aren't saints. Read the tabloids. And they're not tabloids. A lot of bad shit going on in Hollywood. John Quinn. This is the guy. John Quinn, a collector and all-around cultural impresario who died of liver cancer in 1924. Now, this guy, Quinn, was a successful Wall Street lawyer who spent much of his money in support of contemporary art and literature. He was not only an art collector, he was the principal American advisor and promoter of modern writers like William Butler Yeats, Joseph Conrad, Ezra Pound, TSL, people, books that people have on their shelves to look like they're smart. He bought their manuscripts as a way of supporting them and helping them make their work known in the United States. He negotiated Eliot's American book contracts at a time when Eliot was barely a writer, a coteria writer. That word I don't know. Then, and then we'll get into why I'm saying this, Quinn single-handedly got Congress to rewrite a 1909 tax law that imposed a tariff on imported art less than 50 years old, which would be modern art because it's new. So he got that wiped away. So modern art could come into the United States cheaper and be seen. This guy loved art. Quinn wasn't just collecting for himself. He was on a mission. As Eakin puts it, he wanted to bring American civilization to the forefront of the modern world. He thus operated as, in effect, a one-man art world, getting rid of these people, the dealers, the gallery owners, the curators, the critics. He said, screw them. I have money. I'm going to just buy the art, and I'm going to start this movement. Okay? He subsidized New York art galleries, often buying many of the works they showed. So he would buy art and give it to the galleries. He was a key figure behind the 1913 Armory Show, which we don't care about. So he was a patron of the art. I'm like, this is great. This is what I want in my life. I want somebody to say, you know what? I believe this is what every artist wants. This is what I thought managers were supposed to do. When I signed with my first manager, I thought he believes in what I'm doing. That's why he's doing it. This isn't about money. Guess what? It's about money. It's about money. And isn't it wonderful that there are people out there, and I know people that have a lot of money, and they support artists, unknown artists. Now maybe this guy, it was about his ego. Can I break this art in this world? Can I break modern art in America? Maybe it was ego. Believe me, very few people are purely altruistic. So who knows? Who knows? But it was cool that he was backing unknown artists, buying their works when they were worth nothing. In fact, when he died, I think the collection was worth nothing. Now it's worth a lot of money. Okay? So I'm like, this guy's great. I want more people like this in my life until I get to the end of the article. And then I read this. Quinn was a businessman. His edges were much rougher. His letters to writers and artists whose work he advocated for reflect his complete absorption in their legal and financial affairs. But he was also a ranter and a bigot. Obliged to acknowledge this, Eakin quotes one letter in which Quinn refers to Rosenberg as a cheap little Jew. There you go. The guy I'm admiring for several pages in the New Yorker is a racist and an anti-Semite. And he said even worse things. Okay? And it quotes a few. Eakin leaves many examples out of the book, and even worse, according to the writer of this New Yorker article. Feeling as I do about this matter, of course, I have the keenest possible feelings regarding Jew pogroms. Now, he's talking about these two publishers that he's doing a deal for T.S. Eliot's poems. Okay? Albert Boney and Horace Liverite were Jewish. It's a dirty piece of Jew impertinence, he complained in a letter to Eliot. Calculated impertinence in that, for this way, that type of Jew thinks. He can impress his personality. Feeling as I do about the matter, of course, I have the keenest possible feelings regarding Jew pogroms. Jew pogroms are like concentration camps. It's the extermination of the Jews, Jewish pogroms. And there can be other pogroms that don't include Jews, but it's the extermination of a group of people. It also occurs to me that I might be willing to even agree to make modern contributions and take a modest part in a pogrom here. Now he wants to use his money to start a pogrom here. There might be a couple of additional pogroms in the outlying districts, one in the Bronx and one in Brooklyn. This piece of shit! This piece of shit! There I am admiring. This happened another time. I was reading something, and I'm like, I dig this guy, and then he's an anti-Semite. And I understand casual disdain for the Jews. But the minute you say you want to start a pogrom, and by the way, I'm Jewish, so I can say, I'm saying that for levity, because this is a heavy topic that I'm talking about. This is a heavy topic. This manufactured world of art. It's like NFTs, digital art. They just build up this bullshit market. And here I am. I think it's lofty, and I think this guy's doing a great thing, and he hates Jews. And anti-Semitism creeps into all sorts of places. I'm watching a documentary on Brian Jones, the original guitarist and founder of the Rolling Stones, my favorite band. And he died at age of 26. He drowned in a pool. And it may have, the guy was on a lot of drugs, so maybe he just drowned because he was high and drunk. And he had been kicked out of the Stones at this point. So he was miserable. He was going broke. He was in a fight with the contractors on his house. He owed them about $100,000 for work that had been done, and he didn't have the money. And I guess he confronted them that day, and then the guy came back, and maybe that guy killed him. So it becomes this whole conspiracy. Who killed who? How did he die? That's what this documentary is about. And then the Jews come in. Then the Jewish suspect. Have to have a Jewish suspect, right? Of course. So this guy, the accountant, I know it sounds anti-Semitic already. The accountant for the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. They thought maybe because he had to pay out Brian Jones like a sum, $100,000 for leaving the Rolling Stones and $20,000 a year for every year the Rolling Stones were still a band, which means he'd still be getting $20,000 a year, which now means bupkis. Anyway, the accountant, people thought maybe the accountant would kill Brian Jones because of the money. But this was such little money. This guy was making so much money. So cue the anti-Semitism.
With the Beatles and so on.
Alan Klein's making millions of dollars anyway. 100,000 pounds to Alan Klein is neither here nor there when you think that he's personally responsible for the revenue of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. He was a heavy man, no question about that. But, he was a Jewish accountant. Jewish accountants count the money. They don't, have people killed. The idea that Alan Klein had somebody killed, frankly, I think it's an insult to the man's memory. He was a tough son of a bitch, but I don't think it was that hard.
Kind of insulting to the Jews, what you just said.
Coughing up the money.
Kind of insulting to his memory, your anti-Semitism. But that guy, I got to be honest, he's not sitting there thinking, I hate Jews. He just associates Jews with money, which a lot of people do. But always remember this. Everybody, I'm serious. Your Jewish accountant will just count your money. He won't kill you. Or she won't kill you. Or whatever gender your accountant is. However they identify. So just keep that in, and there's no anger towards gender identity. I'm down with it. Down with whatever you identify as. Whatever you were born as. You be you. You be you. But as a Jew accountant, see, that's what I'm saying. Like here I'm doing a bit about the Jew accountant, and I interrupt my own thought with something that I go, I could get in trouble for saying that. They could isolate that. They could take that out. And that's not my intention. I'm very loving. I'm very caring towards and compassionate towards what people are. I used to say choose to be, but it's not choose. They don't choose. You don't choose your gender. You are. Anyway, so just keep that in mind. If your accountant like mine is Jewish, the accountant will not try and kill you. God, The accountant will not. So they're all just layers of anti-Semitism. Let's talk about a Jewish artist, Chagall. So this is interesting. A woman in the 70s, was it in the 70s? No, it was, I don't know when. She bought a Chagall painting from Sotheby's, the auction house. Boy, I hope I'm getting this right. Where's page one of the notes? I think the name was Clegg. They bought a painting. Stephanie Clegg paid $90,000 for a painting attributed to Marc Chagall at the auction house in Sotheby's. Auction house Sotheby's. In 1994, just 9 years after the artist's death, she was looking to sell the work. Okay, I'm cutting and pasting, and I'm all over the place here. Okay, so what happened was she wanted to sell the Chagall. Sotheby's suggested that she send it to England to be. There's a Chagall committee run by the artist's grandchildren to protect his reputation in the art world. So it has to be formally recognized as a Chagall. Well, she's like, I bought it from Sotheby's. Didn't you already do this work? And they're like, well, we said it was a Chagall. And so Sotheby's suggested she send it to England. And this committee deemed, not only was it not a Chagall of fate, but it is to be destroyed. They have the ability to destroy, and that's what they did. They destroyed this painting. And what's really screwed up about this in the art world is art attributions change all the time. So there was a time that there was a painting was bought for $1,500 that they thought was somebody else, and then it turned out to be a Leonardo da Vinci or something that was worth millions. So attributions change in both directions. Maybe that wasn't Chagall, and maybe that was a Leonardo da Vinci. Show it to me. By the way, I don't think the painting was even that good. It's got like a weird horse's head to the side. But this is from the article. This was in the New York Times. In 1973, for example, the Metropolitan Museum of Art reattributed roughly 300 paintings in its collections, including works long thought to have been created by masters such as Rembrandt, Goya, Vermeer, and Velázquez. So listen, art is fluid. It's the owner, the artist, the creator change. That's what's why would they destroy this art? Why would you ever submit your art to the Chagall committee? Ever, if it has a chance of being destroyed? That is where the word draconian comes into my head. Because draconian, Draco, this guy in like 700 BC in Greece, had these laws that were just absurd. Like if you stole an apple or cabbage, that's right, cabbage, death penalty. Imagine that you die for stealing cabbage. I don't even want cabbage when it's free. I'm today calling for the end of cabbage. I want all cabbage eliminated from diets and pallets and plates all over the world. Why? Because I don't know what it is. Sometimes it ends up in coleslaw, right? I guess I like that. I'm making an exception to calling it the end of cabbage. Coleslaw is allowed. Coleslaw is allowed. But this guy would kill you if you stole cabbage. And it was written in blood, not pen. Your conviction. And then they would kill you one of three ways. They'd either drop you down a pit, they'd tie you to a board and let you starve and dehydrate. And the third way was you drink hemlock. Hemlock! Who else drank hemlock? Socrates was convicted and sentenced to death by drinking hemlock. Boy. So the art world continues to frustrate me because it is so speculative. Like what Warhol was doing. Like, how is this stuff worth what it's worth? Why? Because plutocratic neighborhoods are willing to pay it. It's amazing what people are willing to pay for what. It's confounding. It's confounding. There's people starving all over the world, and yet, So I never got into what happened after I left the party, July 4th. July 3rd, my ex-girlfriend from college. And then July 4th, I went to one of my college buddies in Manhattan Beach. If you saw me walking around down in Manhattan Beach with my bucket hat on, that was me. That was me. Very social. Went to a dinner party July 4th and watched the fireworks. Very social. I'll now do nothing until the end of August. That's it. I'm retired. Leave me out of your plans. Thank you so much. Today started with a nice cup of coffee. This is my second cup. Why? The first cup, I put half and half in it, and it curdled. Even though the expiration date said good until July 12th. Are you finding it harder and harder to find expiration dates on products? Look at this. Look at this. I think I've talked about this before. This is yogurt, Chobani. This is just the top where the expiration date is. They print it on there. Let me see if you can see this. You can't read that expiration date. I don't care if you have glasses on. I don't care. You'd have to be 5. Okay, I can see it now. But it's written across. So it says Chobani, Greek yogurt, mango on the bottom. And then diagonally across that, in a much, much fainter and thinner font, it has the date. Well, who's eating yogurt? Old people. Who's losing their vision? Old people. Who's losing their memory? Old people who can't remember, did I buy this last week or did I buy this during the pandemic? What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say I can't believe there isn't more food poisoning in the elderly community. How are these people not dropping dead from eating food that's expired? Make this old, give this a font bigger than the Chobani that's on there. I mean, look at when I opened the podcast, I couldn't find the expiration date on the empanada box. I still can't. They put, look at this, black on brown. Come on. Give me a break. Episode 57, What's Wrong with Orny Adams? I want to talk about one more thing before I get out of here, but I do want to thank you, the listener. I want to thank you, the viewer. I want to thank the people that subscribe to my Patreon. I want to thank the people that subscribe to my YouTube channel. I invite everybody to watch my stand-up comedy on YouTube now. What's Wrong with Orny? It's called More Than Loud. And I invite you to communicate with me. The email for this podcast is what'swrong@ornyadams.com. I want to thank Ernesto Hurtado for mastering this audio and getting it up. I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank all the stories I didn't get to. Here's one of them about fish. We did food poisoning elderly. There it is. I didn't get to talking about eggs, diamond hands and paper hands. I would like to say this. I think I pulled off reading from the New Yorker today. I think I actually made it interesting, and I think I didn't drag down the energy of the podcast too much. But I want to do this because I think it is fascinating. I think it's fascinating how everybody feels the need to comment nowadays. I put up a video from the last podcast to promote episode 57, and it was about going to parties and being asked to take the trash, which I'm now doing on stage. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing in this podcast ends up on stage. Expiration dates could end up on stage. French fries has ended up on stage. The buddy bench, one of my favorite examples, started on this podcast. Started at a party I shouldn't have been at, an argument. I told the story here on the podcast. It's now one of my favorite bits to do on stages. Ashes, spreading ashes. Remember that? That story? That's now on stage. So, like I say, and I said this on a podcast the other day, this is a companion piece for my stand-up comedy. And then the person sort of ripped into me and said, well, it's all about your universe. Well, podcasts are about our universe. The podcast I'm on right now is about your universe. And I'm a visitor in your universe, but it's about you. You. I mean, why do you think we're in this business? Because we feel like we have something exceptional to say. That's why we do this. So I put up this video. This was the headline. This is why I don't want to go to your party. Episode 56 is out. I put this up on all social media. And then on Facebook, somebody chimed in. So basically I was saying, I don't want to go to your party. You know the rant. I don't want to go. I don't want to be there. A lot of people have fear of missing out. I have phobia, fear of being included. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to your wedding. I don't want to see your happiness. Like, I don't want to think about, do I have to bring a bottle of wine? And then when you bring a bottle of wine, you got to walk into the party and you got to make sure people see that you brought this, that you're not one of these people that doesn't show up with something. So you got to like parade it around. You got to like walk around with the bought. You better make sure that the host sees it. Host better see you with the bottle. So I'm doing, I put that up there. And then I put up the story about me being asked to take trash because my neighbor's bins were full. They said, do you have room in your bins for our trash? I'm now transporting trash across neighborhood lines, which sounds illegal. By the way, before I say this, before I get into the story, this is what my new, I would pull this off to like trick the art world. Okay. How about this? Okay. Let's take the Chagall example. Like, how do we know this didn't happen? This would be a good movie. Probably already is a movie. But let's say this. You legitimately buy a Chagall painting. Let's take somebody bigger. Monet. Picasso. Picasso. Look at this wonderful painting. Picasso. Let's say you buy a Picasso. Or a Pollock. I have a neighbor that has a Jackson Pollock. Let's say you buy a Picasso. Legitimately. This thing has been authenticated. Picasso himself said, I did this. This video of him painting this painting. We know the provenance. You know what that is? We know who had it before Picasso. No, we know where Picasso sold it to, and then it went from that person to this person to this person. You have documentation of the provenance of this piece, and you buy it legitimately for millions of dollars, and then you decide to sell it 10 years later. But what you do is you keep the original, and you hire somebody to paint a really good knockoff, and then you sell that. That's my take this, art world. That's my FU to the art world. How about that? How do we know that isn't going on? Right? That's what I was thinking when I was reading that Chagall article. I'm like, well, maybe it is a fake. Maybe she kept the original and she had a fake made. That's what I would do. So this is what I love. This is what I absolutely love about the internet now, is everybody feels like they have to comment, okay? And fights happen. And I love being somewhat misunderstood. I do like a little bit of it. I don't like a lot of it, and I don't like controversy, but like, I make these rugby videos. You can see them on TikTok and all that sort of stuff, Instagram. By the way, I'm at Orny Adams. It's just my name. I mean, if you can't find me, then get off the internet. And I love these rugby videos because I'm making fun of a sport that I don't get in a really sort of, I think, comical way and a fair way. I'm not that disparaging. Like, a lot of rugby experts are like, he's got a point. And they get covered like in magazines, rugby magazines and stuff like that all over the world. But the hardcore people, some of these idiots don't get it at all. And they just attack me. And it makes me laugh. I'm like, oh, they're missing the joke. And I love it. I love when they miss the joke. So this guy, I put up this, don't invite me to your party. So he writes, Eric, it's still up there. So I don't mind. You can go to my Facebook page and read this. I don't mind. I'm not, not disclosing anything private here. Eric wrote, I don't want you at my friggin' party. I love your stand-up immensely. The thought of having you in direct proximity, ? Good God. No thanks. Then 3 dumb emojis. Adults using emojis. I got something to say about that. I wrote back to Eric. Your parties probably suck anyway. Domestic beer in a can type of party. Enjoy your own trash. Okay? I got he was being funny. I got it. So I wrote that. I don't use emojis. I don't go ha 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 ha. I'm not pulling punches. You wanna, and by the way, yours is a lot more personal. I know nothing about you. You know my personality. So to say that you don't want me in your proximity, yeah, it's a little bit of a dig. Okay, you're going to poke the bear? The bear's going to dance. Let's dance. Bear's got something to say back. Well, I go to the gym after posting that, thinking I'm fine, thinking he knows my stand-up comedy. He's going to get that I'm joking. Nope. Eric writes, was joking, period. Jesus. Boy, he summons the Lord a lot in his. The last one he said, good God, now it's Jesus. Michael chimes in, voice of reason. I'm thinking the comedian, me, knows that, meaning that when he said he was joking, and joked right back, ! Well, Michael, you're right. You're right. Then Eric, now this is becoming like therapy for Eric. Yeah, maybe. That's what he wrote back. Yeah, maybe. Didn't seem like it, though. Boy, is this guy insecure about this. I've admired this guy's work since before anyone had really heard of him. I mean, that's passive aggressive. Oh, he's an early adapter to the Orny Adams program. Always, and then he continued, always admired his approach and material. Sadly, ... Didn't summons the Lord on that one. And then some other lady wrote, Shar jumps in. That's okay. You can come to my party anytime. So now people are coming to my defense a little bit, right? Eric, so Eric keeps, Pamela writes, he's only joking. And then I wrote hours later, totally joking back, just so this guy wouldn't be insecure. He's an admirer of my work. He attacked me, I attacked back, which apparently you can't do anymore. You can't attack people back. It's okay. It's okay. It's like this is a classic case of you can dish it, but you can't take it, right? This guy dished it out, but he can't take. Here's the part that absolutely delights me and confounds me and confuses me and is a problem with the world. What's wrong with the world? I'll tell you right now. This guy's an effing adult. He's an adult. I looked at his pictures. He's a contemporary of mine, and he's fighting like a little kid on the playground. Grow up, Eric. You attacked me, okay? Was I to assume that you weren't joking? I knew you were joking, and I joked back. This guy never checked back like hours later or a day later. He wrote me off. He wrote me off. That's what I don't get. You're a fan of mine. You get my comedy. You're joking. I'm joking back. It's all cool, buddy. It's all cool. But if you're going to poke the bear, the mother effing Orny Adams bear, we're going to dance. We're dancing. I'm ready to dance. Well, here is his final post. And of course, he invokes the Lord, his Lord again. Eric writes, Christ. Took forever to find the unfollow after that bullshit. Grow up, dude. We're all here to laugh and have a good time. Much bigger things to worry about in the world than that, Eric. Anyway, I hope you come back, Eric. I welcome your support. Hey, Eric, do you subscribe to my Patreon? Do you listen to my podcast? Don't be so reactionary. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. The world's going to be okay. A lot bigger things to worry about right now. There's wars, there's inflation, there's people being attacked on the streets, there's violence everywhere, there's people what looks like they're defending themselves in a bodega in New York and they're convicted of murder. So, not convicted, but charged with murder. It's crazy times, Eric. Just laugh at this shit. Chill out. Just be cool. And if I ever do go to your parties, and by the way, I don't know if you have canned beers. I don't know you. So when I say canned beer, I don't know you, buddy. I'm just assuming. We're just having fun. It's all about fun. And no matter what, no matter how much your life sucks, always remember, you can put your headsets on and you can listen to Dark Side of the Moon and enjoy it. Enjoy it. Unlike the band that never had that privilege. So when you look at these bands like the Rolling Stones or Pink Floyd and you think, boy, they got everything. The Beatles, they got everything. I'll tell you the one thing they didn't get. The chance to enjoy their music the way we do. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it.